Trust me, you need the full picture for what's about to happen. Trees shook like they were alive, their branches thrashing wildly in the violent wind. Ayaan's camera flickered, the lens struggling to focus through the chaos. His own heartbeat was a thunderous drum in his ears, so loud he could barely think. Ayaan knew he had no choice. He hoisted his backpack, took a deep breath, and followed the echoing roars into the darkness. Giant roots snapped with the sound of gunshots, and rocks shifted under his feet. He watched as Gorak grabbed the monster's head and slammed it against a massive stone pillar, shattering the ancient rock into 1,000 pieces. Gorak roared in agony, a sound so full of pain that the entire valley seemed to answer with its own mournful echoes. He cried out as he fell, his fingers scrambling for a hold. The beast saw its chance and charged with earth-shaking speed. Gorak leaped aside just in time, and the monstrous, devastating attack struck the very ground where Ayaan had been standing only seconds before. He looked over toward Gorak, his heart still pounding. It was a clear, unmistakable warning. It was as if he was speaking directly to Ayaan. The message, simple and direct: leave. Ancient markings, intricately carved into giant, weathered stones. The symbols told a story. One carving depicted a giant gorilla, a protector. Another showed a monstrous, serpent-like beast rising from beneath the earth. Then he saw it. One carving showed ancient villagers worshipping Gorak, offering gifts to their guardian. The next carving showed the underground creature bringing nothing but destruction whenever it rose to the surface. Ayaan finally pieced it all together, the truth hitting him like a physical blow. This valley, It was never just a jungle, he breathed. It was a battlefield of giants. The ground exploded again. The monster burst out from a newly formed crater, shaking off tons of stone and debris. It stopped. It sniffed the air, its massive head turning from side to side. And then, slowly, its glowing red eyes locked onto Ayaan. He froze, every muscle in his body screaming to run, but he was paralyzed by sheer terror. Its claws were like excavators, digging deep trenches into the ground with every step. The glowing red fissures on the monster's body began to brighten, pulsing with energy. Ayaan finally understood. This wasn't just a fight for dominance. It was a fight for balance. The entire valley, maybe even the world, depended on this ancient, violent war. Then, a massive quake, stronger than any before it, split the battlefield in two. Both beasts stumbled, losing their footing. A deep, guttural rumble rose from the newly formed crack, and with it, a blinding, molten red light. There was a deeper world below, a vast, glowing cavern. The beast's true home. The underground creature began to retreat toward the red fissure, but it wasn't moving in fear. It was being drawn back to its source of power. Gorak, limping heavily and bleeding from a dozen wounds, followed it, refusing to let it escape. Ayaan stayed back, his courage finally failing him. He was terrified. As he stared into the glowing crack, he saw something that made his blood run cold. More glowing eyes, staring up from the abyss beneath the surface. Dozens of Tim, maybe even hundreds. His voice cracked as he spoke into his camera. The words choked with horror. It's not the only one. Gorak let out one final, deafening roar of warning, and with a last surge of strength, pushed the beast back into the fissure. The creature fell, its shriek echoing from the depths. Then, a loud thunderous boom erupted from below, and the crack in the earth began to seal itself, closing to a narrow gap. The valley went eerily quiet. The only sound was the heavy, ragged breathing of Gorak as he stood at the edge of the sealed fissure. The war wasn't over. It was just paused. He turned and looked at Ayaan one last time, his eyes heavy with exhaustion and ancient wisdom, repeating his silent warning, "Leave, or you will never get out alive." Then the great guardian turned and limped away, disappearing once more into the fog and shadows of his kingdom. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure you do it right now. You are not going to want to miss the final part of this incredible story.